Welcome back to Storycorn. I'll try not keep you too long. You might already know that in Scotland we don't celebrate New Year, but Hogmanay instead. And nobody really knows where the word comes from. Hogmanay is just called Hogmanay because it always has been. There's no hard and fast rules about how to celebrate either. There'll be plenty of wild ceilidhs and busy bars, and about 30,000 people gathering in Edinburgh for a street party. Molly and I will be having a much quieter one with friends, although there will be enough of this flowing that it could probably fuel a whole street party. Anyway, this is a story corner, so I should probably tell you a story. Two young men. They're planning the Hogmanay party to end all Hogmanay parties, and to do that they needed whiskey. Not a bottle of whiskey, not even a case of whiskey, but an entire barrel of whiskey. That sounds like my kind of night. Like all good Scotsmen, they went hunting for a bargain, and they managed to source one from one of those gents that can get you anything, a smuggler. They'd invited everybody round to theirs that night to join the bash, bragging about all the booze they were going to provide. Then in the middle of the day, they set off to meet their contact down in a secret wee hollow near the shore. Unfortunately, their whiskey salesman was late, so by the time the dodgy deal was done, it was getting dark. And it gets dark about 4 PM in Scotland at this time of year. So the pair were rolling their barrel back home in the pitch black when they saw a wee light shining among some rocks. Of course, they'd sampled their wares on the long walk home, so maybe they weren't thinking entirely straight. That's the only explanation I can come up with as to why they would have crept up to peer into the strange hole in the side of a well-known fairy hill. Just as you'd expect, the fairies were in there, feasting, dancing, singing and having the time of their lives. Hogmanay is for everybody after all. One of the lads must have had a few more drams than his pal, since he gladly sauntered right in, rolling the barrel in front of him. His companion had a bit more sense. Now, rather than being in awe of this spectacle, he was terrified of it. While debating about following his friend in or not, he glanced behind him, the long walk home, and he looked back, and there was nothing there. There were no lights. There was no opening into the fairy hill, there was no friend, and most importantly, there was no whiskey barrel. He had no choice but to walk home alone with his mind racing for an explanation. Of course, nobody in the village believed his crazy story. People don't just disappear all the time, no matter what Outlander fans might tell you. The rumour went round that this young man had got in a fight with his pal, maybe over the whiskey, maybe they'd had too many drams, things went a bit too far. He must have killed him and hidden the barrel for himself. But there was no evidence. No body or blood or anything to be found, so he wasn't charged. But nobody spoke to him that entire year. He was an outcast. Then a year later, the very next Hogmanay, that boy hoped maybe all the old stories are true. So he went back to the fairy hill, and as he approached, his spirits lifted at the sound of the most fantastic music. There it was, just as last year. The light of a party shining out of the darkness. Quick as a flash, he reached in and he grabbed his friend. "Come on, we need to get you out of here right now. Everybody thinks you're dead." Well, the confused figure stared back, says, "I've been here for 5 minutes. I haven't even had a dance yet." "Listen, you might not believe me. It might feel like 5 minutes, but you've been in here for a whole year, and it is time to go." With that, the two lads fled out into the cold night air, making sure to take their whiskey barrel along too. And before long they'd rolled their prize home, and everybody was amazed at the sight of them. Apologies came from the embarrassed accusers, followed by hugs from the lost man's relatives. Now, it was the moment they had waited a whole year for, time to open the barrel and enjoy that fine amber liquid. But to everybody's surprise, it was completely empty. Well, the fairies, they didn't really care that the two men had escaped their party. But surely, you didn't think they were going to let a single drop of the finest Scotch whisky leave their kingdom so easily. A happy Hogmanay, and lang may your lumbereek sláinte.